Let's welcome in Javier Lopez, four-time World Series champion, special assistant to Buster Posey, and he made the Giants Wall of Fame 2 years ago. Javi, thank you so much for joining us. I understand you're on your way out here for Saturday's Wall of Fame events.
Yeah, if everything goes right, I'll be heading out there tonight. Living in Atlanta, you always have afternoon pop-up thunderstorms, so you never quite know when kickoff will be, but you hope for the best. But thanks for having me, fellas.
Absolutely, and obviously we want to talk to you about Mike Krukow. And I guess my first question is, if you don't mind me asking, when did you first come to know Mike?
Actually, I didn't even, not till I got traded. And I tell you what, like, he was one of the first guys. So Krukow and Kuiper had been one of the first guys that I saw in the clubhouse as a broadcast team that would be in there kind of hanging out with the boys. And he came up to me pretty early and said, hey, shook my hand and welcome to the Giants, and kind of went through a brief history of what goes on with the Giants, and then quickly dug into what I do, what my pitches are, how do I like to work hitters. And it was an interesting thing to do, because that's the conversations that you have every day in a locker room, that you just, with people that you don't know. And he's been in there. He's been in the fraternity. He's one of the boys. And it was very great to kind of just be able to go over those things, and, obviously used it for those telecasts, but it was nice to just have make the introduction with both him and Kuiper. He was doing the same thing, kind of bouncing around, and they're very much of that salty nature where it's like, hey, we want to be calling good things, so make sure you don't screw up when you're out there, just joking around. But it was fun. It was that's the first time I got to meet him, and then spending my last 7 seasons in San Francisco was, I finally got to actually hang out with him a little bit more and be able to spend some time with him, and it's bittersweet. It's not one of those things where we want to eulogize, we want to celebrate, and I think it's an amazing time for many Giants fans. It's a sad day, but it's also a time of reflection and time to enjoy what we get to hear for the next couple months.
Javi, that was well said, man. Spot on. And, I told my partner and the listeners here, I've never met Mike, on an individual basis, but I felt like he's a family member, a friend, And I want to ask you, what do you think made Mike so successful, and a lot of baseball Giant fans here in the Bay gravitate to him, and how he lasted this long?
Well, I think first and foremost, he's a great storyteller, and he's been in the fight. Like, when you've been in the locker rooms, you know how much work goes into that and the preparation. And just because you put in work doesn't mean you're going to nail it, right? You're going to fail. The whole sport's built on failure, and it's how do you bounce back from that failure? And so he understood that, and I think he did a great job of relaying that to the audience. And I think another thing about what he and Kuiper would do as far as making themselves part of what was going on in the locker room, and this is a credit to him, and this is kind of things that I've learned from him since I started my broadcasting, is always be available, always be around. So if he ever said anything that you might have taken offense to or whatever, he was always in there to have that conversation. And he was never too, it's like the way he would deliver it was just great. It's like, when you go in there, understand that we've been in this, and now that I've been removed, his playing days are long over by the time when I was here in 2010. He would be in there. He's like, hey, listen, sometimes I might say something in the heat of the moment and somebody catches feelings, and you just talk it out. And he's like, I've gone through that moment with many a guy, and after that we've bonded even more and become stronger. So I think that's what I think the players really enjoy from him. I know I certainly did, is that he knew what it was like to be in the fight and could explain away some things, but he wasn't short of criticism too. When you weren't doing the job you're supposed to do, he'd let you know. And I think that's what you also appreciate, and the fans appreciate too. You can't fool the Giants fans. They watch it, and they can see what's going on during the game too. So you can't sugarcoat everything.
Well, that's an interesting point, Javi, and we're joined by Javier Lopez, four-time World Series champion. It sounds like when he was a player, he probably had those conversations with the people who were announcing him, and realized the other side of the coin. At that point, it probably helped make him a great announcer as well as a great player.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I think when you talk to him about his playing days and what it was like. It was definitely a different time. We understand that. Social media and all that stuff is even different from my playing days to what it is now. But ultimately, he really grasped the idea of what a guy was trying to do. He tried to learn everyone as quickly as he could, especially in this world of a lot of roster churn, and you're not getting the usual 25, 26 guys that you're seeing all the time. You're getting a lot of new faces. So he was quick to try to make those introductions, break down any walls that might be up that are just inherent in a locker room when you don't know anybody, and especially as a media member, even though he's calling your games, you still kind of are a little cautious around those kind of guys. But he was quick to break those walls down and have those conversations. And, it's something that I've always enjoyed and taken pride in. When I do get to call games, whether it's with John Miller or Dave Fleming, or when I get to work with Kuip, and it's you get that same experience. It's kind of, you want to be the same guy every day. You always want to be around people that do that. And I think the Giants fans have been blessed to have 4 guys that constantly do that every single day.
No doubt, Javi. You kind of just nailed it, earlier too, when you said, this is a celebration, and I'm going to be a part of that celebration. We all are. Javi, I got a lot of personality faults, but one thing I try to do is keep it real, so I'm going to be real here. When you were doing the games, my goodness, I told my partner, I'm finicky on announcers. They matter. They just do, and obviously Krukow and Kuip. But, man, can you share with us as much as you can? Because I know you're working for the Giants, but are the play-by-play or the announcing days, are those over? Because when you were in there, man, you nailed it, and a lot of people want to know, what's up with Javier Lopez and calling games? Is that over?
Well, honestly, I really appreciate the comments there. I think it's something that I've taken pride in, and again, to touch on what we've just been talking about, it's you're never going to replace guys like this. These are true legends. These are, they're the unicorns in the field, to be honest with you. You're never going to replace them. But I've learned so much from them and how to try to broadcast the game and talk about it like you're sitting at a bar and you're talking to buddies, and always be mindful that you're going to talk to the significant other of a player and their parents, and, be mindful of your words and things like that. So I take all that to heart. And know the situations and innings and outs. And I try to, again, I learned all that and just been reinforced with the group that the Giants have. And as far as the broadcasting days, again, the front office, I enjoy doing it. I did a 1-year deal here with the Giants as far as the front office is concerned. I wanted to make sure I was going to be a value add, and I think we'll touch base on that at the end of the year when the contract is up and see if it's a fit. I've enjoyed my time doing that, but all this stuff is very fluid, so I have no idea what the future looks like. But again, I appreciate the kind words.
Got you. Absolutely. I know I speak for a bunch of fans out here. We'd love to have you more involved. We all think you're a class act out here, and as long as you're part of the Giants, that's a good sign. But I just wanted to say that, and thank you for coming on and sharing some of these stories about Mike.
Hey, no problem, fellas. I really appreciate you guys reaching out. And again, we're going to celebrate this and enjoy every call that we get.
Hey, Javi, before we let you go, I got to share with you, I had predicted the Giants this year to win 90 games. I felt it, so obviously that hasn't happened. But real quick, when you look at this season in a nutshell, where do you think it just got out of hand? How shocked are you that it's not going like we thought?
I am a little shocked, to be honest with you. I wasn't as bullish at 90 games, but I thought it was going to be a really good team. I thought the offense was just way better than the Giants had in recent years. But obviously, everything begins and ends on the mound, and I think the pitching just unfortunately never got into a good rhythm. And as a former bullpen guy, you got to be able to shut the door, and the Giants have struggled to do that. I mean, they've been walked off 10 times. Blown, I think, 11 or 12 saves at this point. And that matters. And I think the big punch in the gut was, for me, it was in Philly, that double dip that they had in Philly in April.
Wow.
Where they got walked off on both ends of it. And I think that was just a big punch. And I think the bullpen kind of just struggled to kind of find a rhythm after that. And, it's tough to win when you're not closing out games. And, ultimately, I think that's going to be a focus, as you can see by the drafts, getting a bunch of arms, trade, getting a bunch of arms, like trying to solve that problem from within the best you can.